And hello again with yet another important zoonosis that we have indeed diagnosed in coatis at the BWRC, named Toxocariasis is one of many names following the lead of why protecting animal health will ultimately protect our own health. So this is a roundworm zoonosis, and as in past zoonosis, we will first introduce what is it, how common is it, what does it look like in animals, what does the disease look like in humans, how do we get it, and more importantly, how do we know we have it and how do we avoid getting this? So to start out with some general remarks and the connection of this disease to the One Health concept, it is extremely common in domestic and wildlife species to be infected with intestinal worms. This could be leading to simple irritation and ranges all the way to life-threatening disease. And many of these parasites can be transmitted to you or your children as so-called zoonotic diseases. What you have to keep in mind that it is very hard to observe these parasites since they live inside their host and you generally don't see them from the outside, but their eggs pass to the outside in the feces and they're microscopic. The One Health concept again connects the health of our animals to our health, since we can be affected by these common parasites from animals. And these examples, or this example, accumulates very much in the environment and survives there for a very long time, tying in the third tier of the One Health concept there, the environmental health. So what is it? The causing agent, one of them, or the main one we're talking about here, is called Toxocariasis. It is in the class of nematoda, which are roundworms, and the family of Ascaridae. So there are many different species that can cause this disease in different animals and also affect humans. That's what the adult worms look like. And then how common it is, estimated to be up to 100% of the global dog population. And it is also extremely common in the wildlife samples that we have analyzed. There have been studies done on the presence of this parasite in public parks with microscopy again, and this has been found worldwide. In humans, however, the prevalence of this disease is not very high. It is also underdiagnosed because it is not as easy to find and has to be suspected basically to be found, in a nutshell. In animals, this disease can be asymptomatic again, like so many of these diseases that we talk about here. So we may see no signs, but it can, of course, also lead to digestive signs, aka diarrhea, bloat, lack of appetite, weight loss. And in extreme cases, it can also lead to sudden death in animals. And again, as so often, young animals are affected more, but adults are also affected. In the life cycle, we could talk a whole presentation about. Important things in the life cycle is that these eggs that are shed into the environment require a time to become infectious so that they can then infect the next host, yet they can survive up to 7 years in the environment and still be infectious, which makes that the environment plays such a crucial role in the transmission of this disease to humans as well as other hosts. So how do we get it? I already mentioned it. We get it mostly from soil contamination in public parks, beaches, and or sandboxes. That's why especially children are exposed, because they may have the habit of sticking things in their mouths, and some animals tend to defecate into sandboxes. In humans, the disease is not as simple and straightforward as it is in animals. It is roughly described as larva migrans. It's migrating larvae that can be found in different locations. A couple locations give them special names like visceral larva migrans or ocular larva migrans, being in the eye. The signs caused in humans depend obviously where these larvae are located, but can include liver and lung damage in the early stages, as well as blindness and or seizures and more. So how do we know? In animals, it is, in quotation, easy with a microscopic examination of fecals. The eggs are reasonably easy to detect. In the environment, it is not as easy to detect because, again, they're microscopic and the environment is rather big. And in humans, it requires serologic tests mostly, as well as in some cases an eye exam. But again, this needs to be suspected first before it can be diagnosed. How do we prevent it? The most crucial thing to prevent this disease is deworming your pets and personal hygiene and avoiding inappropriate contact with potentially infected animals. And immunocompromised animals and young animals are always a high risk. Stray animals play an important role in spreading this and eliminating access to sandboxes, for example, and or public parks so that animals won't defecate and cause that risk for cross-contamination. And of course, washing hands, as for so many of our diseases, is key. So thank you again for your attention. We hope this was of help. Please do contact us with questions or in the chat right now if you're with us live, and feel free to suggest further topics as well.